your game night every Monday night, of course, here on the Golf Channel is your game night tonight. Throughout the night, we have Barry Goldstein, a professional golf instructor from Inverary Country Club. Great to have you back.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Good to be back.
He'll be with us throughout the night, in addition to his 11-year-old daughter with a swing you won't want to miss. Her name is Carly Ray. She'll be out here a little later. Natalie Gulbis, good friends with Carly Ray and Barry, is going to call in and share a few things with us and her impressions of Carly's game as well. Also, Barry's going to help your short game if you just listen. Listen up, we'll call that. The program's in store for you tonight. The Champions Tour Learning Center coming your way in just a few moments. That'll be followed by the Golf Channel Academy with Tina Mickelson. Academy Live, Jim Flick, Bob Toski, and a live studio audience right here hosted by Craig Can. The 2005 Grand Slam Clinic, where VJ Singh and Michael Campbell take on a few of the big break challenges. And the Champions Clinic. Actually, that's the one where VJ and Rocco take on the big break challenges. Nonetheless, you'll enjoy those shows. We certainly hope. Barry, last time you were on, you talked a lot about, you had Mike Stanley, a world-class player with you.
Correct.
Former PGA Tour winner. You talked a lot about some of the things good players deal with. But tonight, we're going to go a different direction.
Yeah, I think Jerry, the average viewer can really gain a lot by paying attention to the real true fundamentals, the grip, the aim, the stance, the posture, the ball position, which maybe last time I was on the show, we covered some of that, but not enough, and I think it really helped the average viewer.
Reinforce those fundamentals. We'll look forward to that, but right now it's the Champions Tour Learning Center coming your way in just a moment, rehashing a little bit of the Charles Schwab Cup Championship. We're there for two winners, unusual in a professional event, plenty of instruction as well. Enjoy. We're back in studio with your game night. We cleared out the live audience thanks to Bob Toski and Jim Flick for a wonderful Academy Live. And of course, we're rejoined by Barry and Carly Ray Goldstein. We're going to hear more from them in just a minute. But a quick reminder, what's still in store for you tonight? A couple programs remaining. The 2005 Grand Slam Clinic, VJ and Michael Campbell, and then the Champions Clinic, VJ Singh and Rocco Media. Now, let's talk a little bit with some of the drills and some of the things you do with Carly Ray. I know you like to keep it simple, and you always do with juniors, but what are some of the things you guys work on?
Well, I'll tell you, Jerry, first of all, we spent a lot of time on her short game. She's always had a golf swing that has worked really well. Don't get me wrong, we do work on her golf swing, and I'll show you a drill that we do use in her swing, but I would recommend spending a lot of time on short game first. Carly, why don't you show, Jerry and I can back up here. Why don't you show them a typical routine of yours where you take your practice swing. She does this every time she plays golf, Jerry. Practice swing first, and then she'll lift it up, and she'll make a little baseball swing with her driver. Really gives her a feeling that her driver is very shallow. There's not a steep impact position. And tell you what, with her driver, I would say her driving has been probably the best part of her game ever since she's a little kid. Always been longer and straighter than everyone she plays with. And I think that's part of the reason it's just a great drill to help a person, help them get the driver in a good position coming down.
Carly Ray, we always talk to a lot of professional golfers on this show about how much time they spend dedicated to practicing full shots and then practicing the short game and the putting and what have you. What percentage of your practice time is dedicated to each?
Well, if I'm practicing for 2 hours, let's say, then I'll probably use, for putting and chipping, about an hour, 30 minutes on full swing, and the other 30 minutes on bunker play and pitching.
Wow. Yeah. Wonderful. There's somebody on the phone right now, a little bit of surprise here to our audience as well. I think you guys might have been expecting her to call in, but somebody who befriended you a few years ago at the Corning Classic when you were just 8 years old and has become a good friend of your family's right now and one of the biggest stars in the game currently. That, of course, being a star of her own show here on the Golf Channel as well, the Natalie Gulbis Show. Who else could star in that? Natalie Gulbis. Natalie, how you doing?
Good. Thank you for the introduction.
It's a pleasure.
How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. I think you guys probably want to say hi to her, don't you, Carly?
Hey, Natalie.
Hi.
Hey, Nat, how are you?
Carly a couple years ago, and she, from the first time I met her, she'd come out and she'd follow me playing, and then she'd continue to write me notes and also bring me newspaper articles and kind of keep me updated on her success on the golf course.
Now, you actually brought her along in a caddy in a little special event that was held in conjunction with the Corning Classic, correct?
Yes.
And
yes.
and you won.
Of course we won. With Carly, of course.
Well, I think it's neat that someone in your position, Natalie, would go out of your way to be such a special friend to these two, and especially to Carly, because I know as a kid when I was young that you look up to certain people, and I think she looks up to you as much as anyone. Is that right, Carly?
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely.
How cool is it having to going around school and telling your friends, Natalie Goldstein is a friend of mine?
It's really cool because I got a Christmas letter from Natalie one year, and I was really excited.
Really?
Yeah.
Now,
It's great for us too. I mean, we get to see how the sport of women's golf is starting to become more and more popular, and you have girls like Carly that are excited to watch the LPGA and come out and watch us, and then they go back home and work just as hard as their golf game.
a lot of people, you get a lot of publicity, Natalie, because you're such a great player, and you do bring a lot of publicity to the women's side of the game. Do you ever sit back and think the influence you have on the next generation of golfers and your ability to attract them to the game and make the game even stronger for future generations?
I hope it's quite a bit, and I hope that we just continue to see the sport grow, and that we all, at least for me personally, that I leave it in a better state than when I started playing out here. And the game of golf's been so good to me, and I remember all the LPGA players that were good to me when I met them when I was a junior player. Meg Mallon and Beth Daniel and Julie Inkster is the same thing. When they kind of pulled me inside the ropes or signed an autograph or gave me a ball, I still remember that.
Well, Natalie, you've made such a good impression on my daughter. You're just about as classy as they come. And tell you, remember when you told her one day you're going to captain the Solheim Cup team and she'll be the rookie player for you?
Well, we're shooting for that one, for both of us. It's a good goal for both of us.
Natalie, she talks about that all the time. You're just a very classy young lady. Your parents did a great job bringing you up, and I try to do the same thing with Carly.
Well, thank you. You guys have been great fans of mine. I always love seeing you at events.
We love seeing you. We'll see you soon.
Yep, West Palm Beach, hopefully, right, guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll be there, Nat.
All right, Natalie, before you go, what's next on your schedule?
I'm playing in the Wendy's Street Tour Challenge. The 3 LPGA, 3 PGA, 3 Senior Tour, and that's in Las Vegas, and then straight to Tour Championship in West Palm Beach. I got about a week.
All right, and last thing before you go, any 11-year-old girl out there watching who wants to be a golfer, might have an introduction to it, and maybe not as developed as Carly Ray's is, what's your advice to them?
Just to go out and play, just to really start surrounding yourself with the sport, and in all sports really, and just go out there and enjoy it. With golf for me, I used to go out and play with my father. I didn't have a whole lot of friends that played, but I used to love to be around my dad. And now golf is so popular for junior players that, that's a sport that they can go and do with their classmates and go out and play with their friends. So just go out there and play.
Well, best of luck to you in the remainder of your schedule, and thanks for calling in. And Carly, I know you want to say goodbye.
Good luck, Natalie.
Thank you. We'll see you guys soon.
See you
Okay,
soon, Nat.
bye.
All right, before we head to break, let's check in with our most recent additions to our hole-in-one club here at the Golf Channel. Craig Stingley, 4th hole, 265 yards with a 3-wood. That is a double eagle. Congratulations to you. In Milwaukee, Douglas Chapman, a 7-iron from 159 yards. And Mark O'Rourke, also a 7-iron from 160 yards up in Michigan. Congratulations, one and all. If you make a hole-in-one and you'd like us to acknowledge it right here on the Golf Channel, take down all that information if you could, and then fax it to 407-345-4604. Attention, Hole-in-One Club. All of this brought to you by our very good friends at Hole-in-One International. Back in studio with Barry Goldstein, professional golf instructor from Inverary Country Club. We're going to be joined by his daughter, Carly Ray, 11-year-old daughter with a swing you won't want to miss. And also, Natalie Goldstein is scheduled to be calling in to talk to Barry and Carly Ray, good friend of theirs, and a little later this evening. Much more in store for you as well. The Golf Channel Academy coming your way shortly. Tina Mickelson takes the stage. Academy Live, them speaking of being on stage right here on this stage, Jim Flick and Bob Toski with a live studio audience, followed by the 2005 Grand Slam Clinic and the Champions Clinic, VJ and Rocco. Now, at the beginning of the night, we talked about the fact that last time you were here, you worked with a lot of good player issues. Now we want to kind of change that up a little bit, and as you mentioned, talk a little more about fundamentals that affect every player and how much they can benefit from it.
Yes, Jerry, I think you know as well as I do that it's very fun to work on the golf swing, but I think the big things that the average viewer probably doesn't pay enough attention to, starting with the grip, aim, stance, posture, and ball position. And I would say grip's the most important fundamental there is. And what I see a lot, I teach golf every day, all day, see a lot of golfers that squeeze the club in their palm, both thumbs straight down the shaft, and there's not a lot of chance for them to square up the club face or get any whip or snap or wrap the toe of the club around the ball. So they're always struggling with leaving the face open. And I would say a great way to look at your grip, if I were to hand you a baseball, Jerry said, throw it as far as you can. You'd put it in your fingers to get that whip on it. Well, it's the same thing in the golf club. You want to get it very much down in your fingers. And when I say in your fingers, I You're really down in your fingers. I don't mean on the pad, I mean in the fingers. And I like to teach my students a rather strong grip where the both V's formed between the thumb and forefinger are pointed up toward the right shoulder. I just don't like to have my students slicing the ball. I just don't think it's close to being a good shot. So once I teach somebody to hold the club properly, which is certainly a full golf lesson in itself at times, I like to teach them how to aim, how to stand to it, how to get into a good posture, and how to find their ball position. What I find with aim, much like if you were shooting a gun, it'd be hard to stand next to your target. Most good players will get behind their target, and they'll start behind the golf ball. So their club will aim at a spot in front of their golf ball on their target line. Jerry, you've done that for years, correct?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Basics that most people overlook. Once they have their grip and aim in line, I think their stance and posture are highly overlooked. I get a lot of people, they come for a golf lesson, very casual, not a lot of athleticism in their stance and their posture. And I like to compare it if you were to watch George Brett or Mark McGuire, the great baseball players. There was a nice width and almost like they're gripping the ground with their legs. It's almost that feeling that they're really holding onto the ground. Their feet aren't too toed out. There's a squared up look to them. And I think in their posture, what you would see is the knees are flexed, their tush might be out, their chin's up. They're very balanced. If Jerry was going to throw me a medicine ball, I could catch it and hold it. I'm not leaning forward. I'm not back on my heels. So when I'm working with good players or bad players, this is where I always start my lesson. And it's funny, I'll get a world-class player to come out, and it might be something small. They're struggling, and their ball position is slightly off. So I like to teach them a trick where they'll put their feet together and point it directly at the golf ball with the ball in the middle of their feet. If they're hitting a pitching wedge or a 7-iron, something they want in the middle of their stance, they'll just step in equal directions, and they'll know they have the golf ball in a good position. If it was their driver, what they might do is just step maybe an inch forward, take a large step backwards, and they're set up to hit their driver. I think once you have those fundamentals in place, then we can worry about the positions you're in your golf swing. But I think a lot of people put it the other way around, and they get lost. They just can't find the golf ball at the bottom of their swing repeatedly.
All right, let's go from the fundamentals of the full swing to a tip. You got a time to lower your score tip for us.
Absolutely. Let me grab a putter, Jerry. And I watch great players like Annika Sorenstam and Tiger. I picture Greg Norman in his prime, and we all watch their golf swings, and they're so balanced, and they're in a classic position in their finish. Yet when I teach forever, and I see these people putting such as this way, stopping at the ball, or a short jab to their finish. What I like to teach, the tip I'd like to give today is to get yourself to feel as though in your putting stroke there's a nice balanced finish to it. You're holding your finish. All good players will do that. Putter face is reasonably low to the ground. What you don't want to do is make a big stroke, stop at the ball, or jab it to your target. It's just a nice accelerated but not hurried stroke. And Jerry, I notice all good putters, they're right there when they're done. They're holding their finish. Some of them, their eyes are right there. Some of them, their eyes are up. But they're all in a nice balanced position. So I think if you could pose your finish in your putting stroke, much like you practice in your full swing, it would really help your putting. Roll the ball closer to the hole. Lower your scores.
That was the time to lower your score tip presented by Zetia. We hope you enjoyed the Golf Channel Academy with Tina Mickelson, and it's ladies' night of sorts here on the Golf Channel. We are now rejoined by Barry Goldstein and his lovely daughter Carly Ray. Carly, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, most kids would be really nervous. I've talked to you a little bit earlier. You're not one bit nervous, are you?
A little.
No, you're not. You're 11 years old. How long have you been playing golf?
Ever since I could remember, when I was really little, yeah.
And what's your best score? You're quite accomplished from what I understand.
My best score is even par.
Wow. And Dad, compare her, be unbiased here. Compare her to other 11-year-olds that you've been around.
She's definitely in the top 50 to 100 in the world, I would say, for 11-year-old girls. Maybe in America, in the top 25, 30 girls from what we've seen. She's played in all the big tournaments. Very good ball striker. Short game, finally caught up with her ball striking in the last 2 years, and she's a really good player.
And what grade are you in at school?
I'm in 6th grade.
6th grade? What do all your friends think about how much golf you play? Because not a lot of 11-year-olds really spend a lot of time playing golf.
Well, I don't have a lot of free time in the day, but I have like a normal life, like at night and stuff, and I think it's fine.
Is it always fun? Or are you like every other golfer out there that just gets really mad with it sometimes?
Never.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, good for you. That's fantastic. Dad's got to make you proud, spending your whole life in golf.
I'm proud. It's been my whole career. Her whole life has been golf, so it's all she's known. And I'm very proud. Her demeanor is very similar to Natalie Gulbis. Happy, hits a bad shot, little smile, moves on. That's a gift in golf.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We're going to check in with Carly Ray and Barry a little more in just a minute. Let me let you in on what we still have in store for you tonight. Academy Live with Jim Flick and Bob Toski, the 2005 Grand Slam Clinic, and the Champions Clinic with VJ Singh and Rocco Media. Right now, however, it is time for our short game tip, presented by Glenn Levitt. Barry, please.
Yeah, Jerry, I think obviously tipping and putting are probably the two most important scoring shots there are in a game, and I chose a short game tip today that's a chipping tip. I write for Golf Tips magazine. This was published about 6 years ago, and the editor told me it's a very unique tip, so I'm going to share it with the viewers. What I see a lot in chipping that costs people dearly in their scorecard, lots of movement, lots of jumping up. They can't wait to see the result. So I tried to tune in to something that can give them a way to stay quiet. Obviously, they want to set up narrow, ball back in their stance and their weight forward. And I think the best tip I can give the viewers is to try to feel as though you strike the chip and you actually stay down until you hear the ball land on the putting surface, then come up out of your posture. So again, rather than tons of motion and a lot of movement and jumping up to see the result, which usually isn't going to be that good, try to feel as though you're actually stroking the chip, staying in your posture, knees flexed, eyes right down, hear the ball land. Then you can come up, hopefully see it either go in the hole or settle very closely.
All right, thanks for the Glenn Levitt short game tip.
Sure.
Carly, what is your favorite club to chip with?
Sandwich, probably.
Sandwich?
Yeah.
You make it once in a while?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Speaking of equipment, right now it's time to check in with Ralph Maltby in our segment, Is It Me or My Equipment? Presented by Golf Galaxy.
Here in the design studio, I do a lot of putter testing on a very sophisticated putting robot. And I learned early on that not all golf balls are created the same when I was doing my testing, meaning that some golf balls are out of balance. By out of balance, I mean that the center of gravity of that golf ball is not located in the exact dead center of the ball. Most top-grade balls manufactured today are X-rayed and they're perfect. But we just have to be a little suspect with different brands and as we come down the cost ladder, so to speak, and we need a way to check those balls, and I'm going to show you a way to do that in a second. One of the things on this sophisticated putting robot that I found when I found unbalanced balls, and this is what it means to you, is that if you just unknowingly have an unbalanced ball and you set the heavy side down, let's say to the right, you could miss the putt to the right, depending on how far off balance the ball is. If you just set the ball down to putt it with the heavy side to the left, you could miss the putt to the left, again, depending how bad it is. But if you set the heavy side down or up or forward or back on the rolling plane, you could make the putt as long as you struck an accurate putt. So the putting robot shows us doing this, and it's quite interesting to see. So here's what we were looking for when we do golf ball balancing, and I'm going to show you how to do it. 3 conditions can possibly exist, and this is why I like this method, because it's the only method of balancing that shows you all 3 conditions. The ball can either be perfectly balanced, it can be a little bit off, in which case we want to mark it when we putt, or it can be way off, in which case I don't want to play with it. So here's how we're going to do it. Here's a little kit you can get. And this kit comes with a Sharpie pen, show you how to use that, and it comes with a big bag of salts. You mix it all up, you get 2 or 3 years worth of balancing solution out of this. It's slightly messier than some of the other methods, but again, it tells you the 3 conditions, and that's why I really like it. So what we're going to do is let's take this one over right here, get the solution set up, and I'm going to take my first ball, and this ball is perfectly balanced. So I'm going to put it in the solution, and I'm going to take my Sharpie pen, and I'm going to go ahead and put a mark on the ball. And I'm going to now rotate the ball, and the mark doesn't come back up to the top. I'm going to rotate the ball again, and the mark does not come back up to the top. I rotate the ball again, the ball does not come back up to the top. So this ball is perfectly balanced. So now we're going to take condition 2, the ball that's slightly out. Now on this one I put a big dark dot on it already so we can see it a lot easier in the solution. So that's the light side of the ball because the heavy side will be down. So I rotate it, and you can see that the dot slowly comes back up to the top. I rotate it again, and the dot slowly comes back up to the top. I rotate it again, and the dot slowly comes back up to the top. This ball is slightly out, but it is slightly off balance, and this is why we mark it. And we're going to always, when we putt, put that mark up, forward, back, or straight down. That way we have the heavy part of the ball in the proper rolling plane. Now I take the third condition ball, and we know this is going to be pretty bad. So I put it in and I roll it, and the dot, the big dot again that I put on it, comes up very fast to the same spot. I roll it again, and the dot comes up very fast to the same spot. I roll it once more, and the dot comes up quite quickly again to the same spot. This ball's pretty bad. I don't want to play with it, and it's rare to find one out this far. So balancing balls is interesting, and then what I like to do also is when I have a mark, then I'm going to take and put a couple lines on the ball. I can either put 2 lines on like this ball around my dot, or 1 line. The line system works great because you set the line down to your intended line of putt, and as long as your face angle and path on the putter are square, the ball will roll end over end over end as it approaches the hole. That way, with no wobble, you know that everything was fine. And you now have the proper weight of the ball opposite the dot on the bottom, so it will roll perfect without going right or left and be influenced by the ball being out of balance. So kind of interesting, a lot of fun to do it. It's something else to allow you to concentrate a little bit more on your putt because you'll have the mark on it, you'll have your lineup lines. So go for it and check all your golf balls because you don't want to know that it was the golf ball that missed the putt. You'd rather have you missing the putt because you can correct you as you practice later on.
Carly Ray and Barry Goldstein back in the studio for the last time this evening. Now, time to present you with your perfect practice tip, presented by Mizuno. If you would, please.
I think a perfect practice tip for anybody. Carly, why don't you get set up to that golf ball? I've got a club down for alignment. Always aim to something, guys. Every golf shot you hit is going to be to a target. I always have Carly aim. I've got a credit card under her left arm. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a card under her left arm to keep her swing from getting too long at the top, and most importantly, to keep her from blocking the ball coming down. I want her to feel a long right arm, not a chicken wing left arm. And she's going to do a little rhythm drill here. Carly, why don't you go ahead and do the drill? She's going to do a couple of pumps and then swing. Now that's a great drill for the viewers at home. Carly, why don't you try that again without the card? That's a great drill at home for the viewers to use for rhythm. She's letting the club fall into a slot. Not an easy drill to do. I'd recommend all of these things for anybody who wants to get better at golf. These are great drills to use.
That's a fantastic tip. And Carly, good job as well. Is there anybody, I know this is our last few seconds on air tonight, anybody you want to say hello to at home?
I want to say hi to my sister,
What's her name?
Aubrey.
Aubrey. Aubrey, we hope you're still up
Hi, Aubrey.
watching, and we're so glad you guys came and joined us tonight. Thanks a bunch. It's been a pleasure.
Our pleasure, Garrett.
Thank you.
Continued success. Thanks for tuning in with us this evening. More to come, though. We got the Champions Clinic coming your way. Rocco and VJ right now.